the sacrifice of Boston's bravest.
They put themselves in harm's way so that others might be safe.
The city's tributes to a pair of fallen heroes.
If you have weekend plans with the odds of heavy rain, flood watches are out, we'll have the all-important timing for when it comes down.
A high school student gunned down. The strange plot that ended with him shot in the back in a parking lot.
And a cancer patient insulted by a national magazine. Really offended. The humiliating feature and how the magazine is trying to make it right.
Live from our studios in Boston, WBZ News at 5 starts right now.
Saluting two fallen heroes, Boston's mayor leads the city in a solemn tribute. 2 days later, there are still so many tears for the brave firefighters that we lost. Good evening to you. I'm Jonathan Elias.
I'm Paula Evan. Thanks for joining us tonight. People touched by the sacrifice continue to stop by the Boylston Street Fire Station to leave their flowers, cards, or other signs of gratitude. That is the house where Lieutenant Ed Walsh and firefighter Michael Kennedy served.
John Keller is joining us live on Boylston Street. And John, you were there at City Hall Plaza for a very moving tribute to the firefighters.
Yeah, Jonathan, I certainly was. And as you can see behind me, people continue to flock here to the Boylston Street Firehouse to pay their respects. But earlier today, the focal point was downtown on Government Center, where a ceremony was held that was simple, but which moved many to tears. To the mournful sound of bagpipes, the men of Engine 33 and Ladder 15 arrived for a ceremony awash in raw emotion.
Almighty and eternal God, we ask your everlasting mercy and eternal life for our departed brother firefighters, Fire Lieutenant Edward J. Walsh, Engine 33, and firefighter Michael R. Kennedy of Ladder 15, who made the supreme sacrifice by their line of duty deaths.
Last Wednesday was a tough day for the Boston Fire Department, for our brother and sisters. That day, they went into action. They saved many people.
Family members of the fallen were silently present, but others spoke freely of their courage. Veteran firefighter Ed Kelly told of meeting with the Walsh family.
His son was so brave, it reminded me of his father. And his father was like, I would describe Eddie as like Clint Eastwood. He didn't have to act, he just had to be himself, and that was enough.
The funerals of their loved ones lie ahead, but today felt like a wake for the men of the Boylston Street Firehouse.
It is part of the healing. It helps. We get together in these groups, and we all know what the other is feeling, so it's easier. Many times we just kind of look at each other and nod. It's tough to speak most times. You know, when you go to ask each other how you doing, both men break down. So we give a nod, handshake, a hug, and it means the world of difference to us.
You just heard Deputy Chief Costin talking about how they're often at a loss for words with each other. Well, they're not the only ones. One thing I've noticed, and you'll see it for yourself if you come down here to pay your respects at Boylston Street, saw it again today at City Hall Plaza, which is normally a noisy place. Well, today, both locations are so quiet that it really speaks louder than words. Live in downtown Boston in the Back Bay, John Keller at large, WBZ News. Back to you.
All right, John, thank you. And the arrangements have now been finalized for Lieutenant Walsh's wake and funeral. Visiting hours will be next Tuesday from 3 o'clock until 8 p.m. at St. Patrick's Church on Main Street in Watertown. The funeral will then be Wednesday at 10:30 at St. Patrick's Church. And in less than an hour, a motorcade will be carrying Lieutenant Walsh's body from the medical examiner's office to the funeral home in Watertown. Firefighters right now are starting to gather. The procession will go down Albany Street onto the Mass Pike and then all the way to Watertown. And firefighter Kennedy's wake will be held on Wednesday from 2:30 until 8 o'clock at the Murray Funeral Home on Center Street in West Roxbury. The funeral will be Thursday at 11 a.m. at Holy Name Church on Center Street in West Roxbury. Paul?
Jonathan, no answers yet, but the fire that took the firefighters, about the fire that took their lives, but we did learn today that the Beacon Street building does not have to be torn down. Bill Shields is live at the fire scene tonight with the latest on the investigation. Bill?
And Paula, before we get to that, if anybody wants to know, Beacon Street is open. One lane is getting by. One lane
is still closed. As for the scene right down the street in back of me, still a very mournful place, still a lot of feelings there, but now it's turning a lot to the investigation, trying to figure out what happened there. And maybe even another question after that is what happens after the investigation is done, after they figure out how this deadly, tragic fire started, what happens to that building? Throughout the day, investigators moved in and out of the burned-out building, trying to come up with some answers as to how this deadly fire started. One scenario puts the origin in the basement laundry room, but so far, no concrete answers. The city's top building inspector was here too.
Well, today we're just doing an assessment on the structure of the building, make sure it's safe. Then we're going to plan on doing some shoring and button up the roofs. That's basically what we're doing today.
David Johnson expects the building to be rebuilt.
Yes, it can. Yeah, this could be saved. Yeah.
So you won't have to tear it down?
No, I don't think so at this moment right now.
And neighbors were in and out of their homes today, dealing with the smoke and water damage they suffered, and reliving the nightmare of Wednesday afternoon.
I just was in shock, and I didn't know what to think. I mean,
That building is owned by a family trust, and we are told there's about 8 apartments in there, but there's just no one is sure what is going to happen to it, whether or not it gets sold piecemeal and turned back into apartments, or whether it gets sold as one piece of property. All that is still up in the air, but much more importantly, what happened there. Reporting live from Beacon Street, I'm Bill Shields, WBZ News. Back to you guys.
Bill, thanks. So many people have been asking what they can do. Fellow firefighters have set up a fund to help the families of Lieutenant Ed Walsh and firefighter Michael Kennedy. Donations can be sent to the Boston Firefighters Credit Union. You can find the address and all the information on our website, cbsboston.com. Union officials became emotional today speaking about Walsh and Kennedy, who made the ultimate sacrifice.
They were part of a team that went into a burning building with people trapped. They were part of that team that saved civilians. And that's what we do. We take this job. We put our right hand up to protect the citizens of the city of Boston.
And in just a few hours, a vigil service will be held this evening at 7 o'clock at Holy Name Church in West Roxbury. An opportunity for friends of Lieutenant Walsh and firefighter Kennedy to gather and support their families.
I want to share a touching photo with you right now. Take a look at this. This was taken at Logan Airport last night. Firefighters waiting to greet Lieutenant Walsh's mother-in-law as she arrived in Boston. And coming up at 5:30, we're going to hear from some of the people visiting the Boylston Street Firehouse today and hear why they wanted to pay their respects as our coverage of this tragedy continues.
A lot of people were understandably nervous this morning when they saw thick black smoke over Cambridge. This was a fire on the roof of a high-rise. A detail officer had called it in. The Cambridge Fire Department went to work putting firefighters on the roof, but the fire was quickly put out and no one was hurt.
All right, now turning our attention to the weather, we're looking at a rainy weekend, and the rain could be very heavy at times. Chief Meteorologist Eric Fisher is here now with AccuWeather forecast. This is good news, bad news. Good news that we're getting it, and maybe actually good news. We get rid of the snow, too, at the same time.
Double good. All right, Jonathan's on board for the weekend rainfall, and yes, we are dealing with some rain, especially mid towards Saturday night and Sunday. And this evening, already tracking some rainfall here across the area. You notice it goes all the way up into southern Canada. So this system, much more mild than the last couple we've seen. Rain showers around Boston, reaching back into southern New Hampshire. It's hit or miss right now. It's still been dry out across Cape Cod, the islands, but very gusty. And the temperatures, a lot better today. 52 in Boston, 54 right now in Taunton. Falmouth checking in at 54 degrees. So it's a mild shower, more springtime feel. The winds could still gust over 40 miles per hour here across far southeastern Mass. These wind advisories will stay up until 6 o'clock this evening. Then the breeze will start to diminish a little bit. We'll see those showers all wrap up by midnight. There'll be some clearing after that. Temperatures will fall back to the 40s and a couple spots north and west of Boston. They'll be falling back into the 30s overnight. Then we look towards the weekend, and we do have flood watches that are up for a big part of the area. A widespread 1 to 3, maybe as much as 4 inches of rain. We'll have the timing for all of that, and we can sneak in some outdoor plans coming up in just a little bit. Jonathan?
Look forward to it. We'll see you in a few, Eric. Thanks. Throughout the weekend, you can always get updates on the forecast anytime you'd like. We have it on our website, cbsboston.com.
A Belmont man's on the loose. Another man now under arrest in the shooting death of a local high school student. Tyler Zanko was laid to rest today, but as he was mourned, new information on his death came to light. Michael Rosenfield has the story.
New details emerging in the stunning death of high school wrestling star Tyler Zenko, the 17-year-old student at Waltham High, shot to death last week. Court documents reveal the incident may have stemmed from a setup the teen had instigated. Investigators reporting that Zenko wanted revenge against this man, Taylor Poulin. Zenko believing Poulin had ripped off his younger cousin out of 2 ounces of marijuana. Zenko and 2 friends apparently set up a drug deal with Poulin in the parking lot of this apartment complex. But witnesses say Zenko tased Poulin with a stun gun when he showed up. Brass knuckles were found in the teenager's pocket.
It's usually very quiet neighborhood, so I was a little surprised.
As the 2 men fought, witnesses say Poulin's friend Domingo Mendez pulled out a gun and shot the teenager. Poulin is now under arrest in Maine, but Mendez is still on the loose. His neighbor told us police have canvassed the area.
What did the police say?
That he's a suspect for a murder, and they're looking for him on the property.
Other court documents show that Domingo Mendez has a violent past, accused of assaulting a roommate when he lived here at this home in Waltham last summer.
A sad commentary on our society, that it's, you know, guns and violence and drugs.
Zenko was shot in the back and passed away. He was laid to rest today. In Waltham, Michael Rosenfield, WBZ News.
Tonight, the mother of a missing Fitchburg boy says she wants to be her own lawyer. The judge talked Elsa Oliver out of that today's arraignment. Oliver is now being charged with kidnapping, assault, and reckless endangerment. Her boyfriend faces similar charges. Oliver's son, 5-year-old Jeremiah, is missing, and authorities believe he has been murdered.
Once again, it appears that search crews have been looking for the missing airplane in the wrong place. They've shifted their search area now by hundreds of miles. As Susan McGinnis shows us, new evidence led the search crews to reevaluate their plan.
Air crews captured new photos of possible debris from the missing Malaysia Airlines jet. The sightings came after officials determined they were searching for Flight 370 in the wrong area.
The plane was travelling faster than was previously estimated, resulting in increased fuel usage and reducing the possible distance it travelled south into the Indian Ocean.
The new zone is about 700 miles closer to Perth, Australia, where the search planes are based.
That will increase significantly the amount of time they can spend out there by about 2 hours.
But Malaysian officials say the time spent searching the previous area may not have been wasted.
Because of ocean drift, this new search area could still be consistent with the potential objects identified by various satellite images over the past week.
Investigators won't be able to determine if any of the debris spotted so far is actually from the missing Boeing 777 until ships find it and pull it out of the ocean, and that won't happen until Saturday at the earliest. Susan McGinnis, CBS News.
Coming up here on WBZ News, a $30 scratch ticket with a huge payoff, the big prize at stake, and why some say it's just not worth the gamble.
A major magazine making fun of a cancer patient, the outrage at a national women's magazine, and how it embarrassed a woman fighting for her life.
He says he failed at home, but he has the right to work. Embattled announcer Jerry Remy defends his decision to return to the broadcast booth for the Red Sox.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Luna.
With Luna, buy 1 room of flooring, get all other rooms of product for just $50 each. 877-241 Luna.
American owned, family operated. Since 1829. No bull. Just lager. From America's oldest brewery, Yingling.
Don't miss the Bach Toyota #1 for everyone sales event. Bach Toyota is the #1 Toyota dealer in sales in New England. Drive home a brand new Toyota Camry for just $99 per month.
Come on down.
That's right, lease a brand new Toyota Camry, America's best-selling automobile that gets 35 miles per gallon for only $99 per month.
Imagine finding the furniture you love at low sale prices. Now imagine upgrading to your choice of fabric at no extra charge. It's all possible at the Boston Interiors Custom Upholstery Sale. All our upholstery is made in the USA from quality materials you can trust to last. And this month only, it's all on sale. All chairs, sofas, sleepers, and sectionals. Plus, custom order any available fabric at the same price as stock. Come in soon and save. Sale ends March 31st.
He loves skiing and skateboarding, so young Tom Sims combined them, creating a whole new way down the mountain. Uncompromising creativity. It's also how Mazda made a crossover that combines nimble handling with outstanding fuel efficiency. This is the Mazda CX-5. What do you drive? Now, lease the 2014 Mazda CX-5 Sport for $229 a month for 36 months.
To buy a Honda Accord?
You don't call it the spring into a Honda sales event for nothing. What makes this Accord so special? Rear-view camera, Bluetooth, Pandora compatibility, all standard. I'm not convinced. It's an IIHS 2014 top safety.
There's a bear behind you.
Way to stay in your toes, Robert.
This is not a drill. Get a great deal during the Spring Into a Honda sales event. Now, at your Honda dealer.
In a crowd of light beers, how long does it take to find the Yingling Light Lager? About that long. 99 calories, 100% authentic lager. Yingling Light Lager. Rethink your light beer.
Heading back to the booth, Jerry Remy says he isn't going anywhere and he'll be ready for opening day. Now, Remy's job status has been questioned all week since a Boston Globe report which showed the great lengths his family went to keep his son Jared out of jail.
Jared Remy is charged with murdering his girlfriend Jennifer Martell. David Wade joins us now. And David, Jerry Remy says he understands why people are angry.
Yes, he does. And Jonathan, a lot of people are angry, very angry at his son, at the situation, and at Jerry Remy. But Remy said today he has a right to go on with his life and a right to continue the career that he loves. So, of course, after his son's arrest, Remy took a break from the broadcast booth. But then in February, he announced that he was coming back. And Remy tells WEEI Radio that he knew this scathing Globe article was in the works when he made that big decision to come back. Well, the article documented all the times that the Remys hired high-priced lawyers to fight Jared Remy's court battles. Remy said today that he and his wife wanted to help their son, and they probably wouldn't do anything different. But he acknowledges they failed.
He's our son, and we tried to do the best that we possibly could for him, you know. Unless you go through something like this, you know, I guess, like I said, people have different ways of dealing with their own personal families, and I was in a position where I felt that, you know, we could deal with it in a proper way and get him the proper help and give him the proper, you know, believe me, I mean, we tried everything we possibly could.
By the way, Remy says that yes, he is paying for his son's lawyer as he faces these murder charges. Of course, Jennifer Martell and Jared Remy had a young daughter. Earlier this week, Remy and his wife reached a custody agreement with the Martell family. The Martells will have primary custody while Jerry Remy and his wife will have visitation rights. Paula?
David, thank you. The MBTA launches its late-night service this weekend. Some buses and the subway lines will run well after midnight. In most cases, there will be buses or trains coming by each stop every 15 to 20 minutes. And the last subway trains will leave downtown stations at 2:30 a.m. The T will be the way to go because you can expect another tough weekend on the Mass Pike. At 9 o'clock tonight, Mass DOT will limit traffic in the Prudential Tunnel to one lane in each direction. Be aware so that it can remove the tunnel ceiling. The work started last week and it did create gridlock on the Pike.
Trust me, I got stuck in it last week. You want to avoid that situation. Just go around. Not fun. No, you don't. Well, you know, this is the weekend we're going to be inside anyway. But again, I was saying earlier, with this rain, all that snow will be gone. That'll be nice. We get our yards back.
We're working on it. It's a rite of passage. The rain that arrives usually when you hit springtime, it'll be pretty heavy as we head towards Saturday night. Tonight, we've got our own raindrops to dodge, and this won't be particularly heavy, but there are some showers across the area. There's a spring feel. I know I kept the windows open in my house. Maybe you did too. Air things out a little bit. We reached a high of 60 in Boston earlier on today. And now you see this batch of rainfall moving through for the commute. Slow things down a little bit. If you have plans this evening, keep the umbrella handy. These rain showers will keep around for the next several hours before things start to dry out. We've also had some pretty gusty winds, particularly southeastern Mass. Taunton gusting to 22, but fell at the gusts to 38 miles per hour. The gusts will stay with us this evening, but they'll start to die down a little bit, especially as we head toward the 8, 9, 10 o'clock time frame. In terms of the rain showers, we get towards 6, still tracking some wet weather across the area. At 9 p.m. and into that 10, 11, 12 time frame, couple of drops here and there. It's not going to be anything too concentrated or heavy. And notice this evening, you're heading out, it's going to stay mild well into the overnight. As we head toward tomorrow morning, the drier air is going to work its way in. So by 6 o'clock, some 30s start to show up. A little more starlight here, and by 6 actually, we've got some twilight, some sunshine around. I think tomorrow morning is fine if you want to get out and about outside. There aren't going to be any issues there at all. Big weekend for marathon runners. It's the last long training run. If you are heading out, it's going to cooperate. We're around 40 at 8 a.m., around 50 by 11 a.m., and we'll stay dry all morning long. So good luck to everyone who's going to be out there on the course. These Saturdays have really cooperated for the past several weeks. Highs tomorrow, many towns topping 50 degrees, if not well up into the 40s. It will be fairly comfortable. Then we get into the rain part of all this. Flood watch out for much of the area, especially off to the north and west side of Boston. We're having the snow melt that Jonathan was alluding to, plus some rainfall, and then you've got in general just a lot of rain coming at one time. So by the time we get toward 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, right around lunch, the rain is moving back in from south to north. It'll extend its way northward as we head toward mid-afternoon, and by the evening it's all wet. Tomorrow night is where we see the heaviest rain of all, into early on Sunday morning. So it'll really come down, and then once we get through Sunday, things get a little bit more spotty in nature. So the overall idea for the weekend, a dry morning tomorrow, even around midday, then the rain develops with highs in the low 50s. For tomorrow night, it's a soaker. Will be around 40 degrees for overnight lows. And then on Sunday, it'll be kind of a wide temperature spread. Very chilly to the north and west of Boston, mild to the south and east. And there will be bouts of rain. Overall, it's going to be a pretty good day for indoor plans as we bend to the back half of the weekend. Rain totals, model's been pretty consistent on this. 1 to 3 inches of rain looks like a pretty good bet with all of this one. For the most part, we should be able to handle that. Some minor flooding issues, but we will also watch an onshore flow Sunday into Monday. We'll talk more about what this might mean for the coast coming up next half hour. Paul?
We'll see you then. Eric, thanks so much. And don't forget, our spring weather preview special is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Eric and the rest of the weather team will take a look at what's in store for our spring forecast.
So first it was cupcakes that became a big culinary trend. Now, upscale donuts might be the next thing. Dan Annelman of the Phantom Gourmet samples some of the area's most interesting sweet treats.
For gourmet handmade donuts, Half Baked in Beverly offers an incredible variety of unique options, like rhubarb lime, strawberries and cream, and salted toffee.
You would never know it when you bite into it, but it actually tastes like a pretzel. You're expecting it to taste more like a toffee donut, but we use a French sea salt on top, and when you bite into it, it ends up tasting like a soft pretzel donut.
Somerville's Union Square Donuts takes the cake for creative donut flavors. There's hibiscus cherry, honey almond, and the always popular over-the-top maple bacon donut. The Warehouse in downtown Boston is an upscale sports bar where fans flock to their gourmet donut dessert.
The recipe came from Maine back in the early 1900s and hasn't really been changed since, and they're the best donuts. It's 3 little donuts on a plate with chocolate sauce, peanut butter dipping sauce, and then a scoop of coffee ice cream. So it's just great flavors all together.
Some other great local donut shops are Cane's in Saugus, Donna's in Tewksbury, and Linda's in Belmont. For more food and fun, watch the Phantom Gourmet Saturday and Sunday at 10:30 and 11 on MyTV 38.
We should carry our whole donut debate online so people could weigh in.
I feel like Pavlov's dog. Every time he does one of his pieces, whether it's a donut or Italian place, you just salivate. You get hungry.
Well, what's your favorite place to shop?
Coming up in our next half hour, the supermarket with the most satisfied customers and the local chains that are falling a little short.
And up next, riding our way into some warmer weather, how the Humway is gearing up for spring. And now here's Lisa with a look at what's ahead at 6.
Paula and Jonathan, at 6 o'clock, a woman who was helped by Lieutenant Walsh at the fire scene tells us how sorry she is about his death. Her name is Gwen Collins. She was struggling to breathe as she walked to the street, and Lieutenant Walsh offered to help her. Tonight, she describes that encounter at 6 o'clock.
This food segment is sponsored by Phantom Gourmet. Can finally put the brutal winter behind us. And now the WBZ AccuWeather team is looking ahead. First, your spring forecast and how the season's been changing in recent years. Plus, tornadoes in Massachusetts. What some towns are doing to better prepare for severe storms. Then, will your garden take a hit because of the recent frigid weather? And treat your taste buds. The local food and drink that celebrates spring. Join us for our WBZ Eye on Weather special Spring Preview, Saturday at 7, presented by Raytheon.
Big Apple Circus, all new shows, luminosity, electrifying excitement, juggler, acrobats, clowns, horses, dogs, thrills galore at the crossroads of the world. Big Apple Circus, all new shows, City Hall Plaza, starting March 25th. BigAppleCircus.org. Buy tickets now.
The sun is setting on the Toyota #1 for everyone national sales event. The final days to save with #1 deals so everyone can drive away with legendary Toyota value. Final days to get a lowest ever $178 a month lease on an all-wheel drive RAV4 with no cost maintenance included. Or get a #1 deal on an all-wheel drive RAV4 with 1.9 for $60. #1 for everyone ends March 31st. Toyota. Let's go places.
Have a rich history. We drive by historic locations and iconic landmarks every day, and we're proud to call it our home. Defined not only by the people and the places, but also by the very cars we drive. So how close are you from getting a great deal and outstanding service on a Subaru? At Metro West Subaru, you're only minutes away from our everyday low prices.
I'm Michael Petrick, General Manager of Metro West Subaru. Come on over and experience it for yourself.
Big Apple Circus, all new shows, luminosity, electrifying excitement, jugglers, acrobats, clowns, horses, dogs, thrills galore at the crossroads of the world. Big Apple Circus, all new shows, City Hall Plaza, starting March 25th. BigAppleCircus.org. Buy tickets now.
Well, when the weather finally improves, and that should happen any day now, Boston's bike sharing program will be ready to roll.
That's right. As Ken McLeod shows us, the Hubway will be offering new ways to get people moving.
On the streets of downtown Boston, pedal power is returning from hibernation. So inside a Charlestown warehouse, mechanics are going full tilt on the tune-ups to make sure the Hubway fleet is roadworthy.
I think so. It's time to get on bikes.
Hubway is the public bike sharing program whereby you can grab some wheels at docking stations like this one on State Street, pedal to your destination, and drop it off at another station. The service comes with online trackers and mobile apps.
So there is some planning and some thinking involved to starting your trip.
By the middle of next week, most of these 1,300 bikes will be out on the street. That's when roughly 2/3 of Hubway's 140 stations will open up in Boston, Cambridge, Brookline, and Somerville. Roughly 9,700 folks now pay the annual fee of $85, which entitles riders to unlimited trips under 30 minutes. But a new program will let doctors at Boston Medical actually prescribe a membership to low-income patients as part of an exercise regimen for just $5.
For the mayor, it's very important that this program is for all Boston residents, regardless of income.
Believe it or not, some Hubway bike stations were open all winter long in Cambridge to test snowy ridership, and folks still made 2,000 trips per week. But the lion's share of docking stations and bikes spend the winter inside and have to be hauled back outside each spring.
They're designed, you can ride in a suit, you can ride in a skirt.
Hubway's spring launch is actually earlier this year than last, despite our nasty winter, so the next several days are going to be kind of crazy in the repair shop. In Charlestown, Ken McLeod, WBZ News.
Well, wait until you hear this story. It sounded great at first. A woman fighting cancer learns she's going to be in a national magazine.
Yeah, but then she saw the reason why. Coming up at 5:30, the magazine that mocked the cancer patient and what it's doing to try and make up for it.
Spending $30 to make $1 million. The lottery's new scratch ticket gamble, and the people who think it's a bad idea.
And the memorial for 2 Boston firefighters continues to grow here tonight on Boylston Street. Tonight, thoughts and prayers go out to their families.
Today's a sad day for the city of Boston. We lost 2 heroes.
It is the worst possible news. 2 Boston firefighters have been killed.
Something that none of us want to see. In 30 years, I've never seen a fire travel that fast.
Prayers and my thoughts go out to the families.
Lieutenant Ed Walsh and firefighter Michael Kennedy.
With heavy hearts, a lot of people now are going by that station.
We wanted to help out and let them know that we appreciate what they do for us.
That's what we do. We sacrifice our life for the citizens of the city of Boston.
Today's weather on WBZ is brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers.
The all-new Chevy Silverado. From the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting, full-size pickups on the road. The truck that beats any Ford F-150 in fuel economy. And the 2014 North American Truck of the Year. And now, during Chevy Truck Month, the price you see is the price you pay for a 2014 Chevy Silverado. Now use special Truck Month pricing to get a total value of over $7,500 on the Silverado All-Star Edition with best-in-class V8 fuel economy.
Visit your New England Chevy dealer. What is that?
Oh,
Is it ready?
it's chili with Goya beans. Are Grandma and Grandpa?
Ready! You'll notice the Goya difference even before you taste it. Add plump and tasty Goya low-sodium beans to your favorite recipes and see for yourself. If it's Goya, it has to be good.
Tonight's primetime lineup is brought to you by the all-new 2014 Jeep Cherokee, a 2013 top IIHS safety pick.
Winter's in full swing, and Butchika's in tax-free Salem, New Hampshire is your place to gear up for ski and snowboarding this year. Come in, get expert advice from our knowledgeable and experienced staff, browse our huge selection, and take advantage of our low prices on the latest equipment. Plus, get a lift ticket to JP with the purchase of any ski or snowboard package over $499. JP, the most snow in Eastern North America. Butchika Ski Shop, your skiing and riding connection, on Route 28 in tax-free Salem, New Hampshire.
At GMC, incredible thinking always comes first. Like the GMC Sierra, the first pickup to offer a V8 engine that gets an EPA estimated 23 highway miles per gallon. The first to offer an innovative cargo bed with LED lighting. And for the first time ever, during the GMC Open House, all 2014 GMC Sierras are specially priced, so you get thousands off MSRP. This month, use your special value pricing to get over $7,100 total value on this specially equipped GMC Sierra SLT. Find your dealer at gmcdealer.com.
Now at 5:30, a City Hall tribute to Boston's fallen firefighters. Mayor Marty Walsh led a flag-raising ceremony outside on the plaza today. Firefighters, police, and hundreds more stopped to salute firefighter Michael Kennedy and Lieutenant Ed Walsh.
And right now, firefighters are gathering at the medical examiner's office for a special escort.
In about a half an hour, a motorcade is going to bring Lieutenant Walsh's body to the funeral home in Watertown. Our Jim Smith is live in Boston as this gets underway. Jim?
Good evening, Paula and Jonathan. A very somber scene, as you might expect, here at the State Medical Examiner's office on Albany Street. I'm going to step out of the way so that we can get a look at what's going on. Boston firefighters, Watertown firefighters, a short time ago, a hearse escorted by a police cruiser went down to the medical examiner's office. Lieutenant Ed Walsh's body will be escorted with a full procession and full honors back to the funeral home in Watertown, the Stanton Funeral Home. This motorcade will proceed up Albany Street on the Mass Pike westbound, get off at the Watertown exit, and then head down Galen Street through Watertown Square to the Stanton Funeral Home, where his body will lie until the wake, which will take place on Tuesday. Ed Walsh's funeral set for Wednesday morning at St. Patrick's Church. As you might expect, a real show of force here from a number of different engine companies here in the city of Boston. And as we said, Watertown Fire, because as we've been reporting, Lieutenant Ed Walsh's father, his late father, was a Watertown firefighter, as well as two of his uncles. So at any moment, we do expect Lieutenant Walsh's body to be escorted here, and we'll stay on it, and we'll bring you an update as events warrant. Live on Albany Street in Boston, I'm Jim Smith, WBZ News. Back to you, Jonathan and Paula.
We appreciate it, Jim. Thanks. It's such an outpouring of emotion. People continue to lead their tributes to the firefighters outside of the Boylston Street Firehouse.
They're telling us, too, it's a great comfort to the men and women of the force who have lost so much. Paul Burton joining us live on Boylston Street with more on this. Paul?
And Jonathan and Paula, tonight the memorial grows bigger. It's incredible to see the outpouring of love and show of support that's in this community. Folks here today are just thinking about the two fallen firefighters, and they're praying for their families.
All of us traumatized by it.
It's very sad.
Flowers and handshakes to ease the overwhelming grief at the Engine 33 Firehouse on Boylston Street.
I thought I should just pay my respects.
This morning, 4-year-old Delaney offers flowers to a firefighter and a hat. Her mother is a Wayland police officer.
You think she understands?
No,
not at this point, but I wanted her to realize how important it was and, you know, what everybody does for our jobs, right?
Throughout the day, hundreds of people laid flowers, stood silent, and prayed for the two fallen firefighters who made the ultimate sacrifice, 43-year-old Lieutenant Edward Walsh and 33-year-old firefighter Michael Kennedy. They were among the first to rush into the 9-alarm blaze on Beacon Street, but they never came out. Michelle Mongo knew both men.
They were remarkable people, you know, and they will always be remembered for that. And my prayers are for God to comfort their family and all their loved ones.
On Friday, the memorial grows for Walsh, a father of 3 children, and Kennedy, a Marine Corps veteran who's been on the force for about 6 years.
This hits home, and the reality to it is the genuine support of the public.
And like 4-year-old Delaney, it's hard for all of us to understand and accept this overwhelming sorrow.
I think of Lieutenant Walsh and firefighter Kennedy, and how honorable they were. Always had a big heart for the community.
Tonight, people will continue to pray for the victims of this tragedy. They're leaving behind cards, flags, flowers. They're bringing food, anything to ease the pain. And of course, most of all, they are just praying for these families. A very difficult time, but it's just an inspiring story to see the outpouring of love from this community. We're live in Boston. I'm Paul Burton, WBZ News. Jonathan, back to you.
It is good to see you, Paul. Thank you. The JFK Library will have condolence books for Lieutenant Walsh and firefighter Kennedy. You can stop by the library tomorrow or Sunday to sign the books and share your thoughts. Stay with WBZ for continuing coverage of the tributes and the investigation into this tragedy for our city.
Working or volunteering for a medical marijuana dispensary here in Massachusetts is going to get a lot harder. According to the Boston Globe, the Department of Public Health will require anyone involved with a dispensary to go through an extensive background check. 20 companies in all were picked for the first provisional licenses, but since that selection, questions have been raised about the companies that were chosen and how much research was done into their background.
Next week, the Senate will try to fix a problem exposed by our I-Team, the huge number of gas leaks across Massachusetts. Now, the Senate Ways and Means Committee has approved the bill and scheduled for debate as early as next week. Last fall, the I-Team reported there are more than 20,000 small gas leaks across the whole state, and those leaks are costing taxpayers about $40 million a year. The bill would develop a specific timetable to fix these leaks, and it would prioritize leaks in school zones.
All right, well, we had a blizzard a couple days ago, and today a little feeling of spring return. We had temperatures well up into the 50s, and now some spring showers rolling through the area. And nothing terribly heavy here, but it will be a bit of a wet commute, and if you have dinner plans tonight, bring the umbrella along with you. Temperatures easier to take, 52 in Boston, 54 at Taunton. Lawrence checking in at 49 this evening, better than the 30s, that's for sure. We do have a gusty wind, though, and wind advisories will stay up till 6 o'clock. Here across southeastern Mass, could see a couple of gusts over 40 miles per hour. Overall, it's not going to cause any damage or anything of that nature. Just very windy evening for you. Any of these showers will wrap up by midnight. After that, we'll get into some partial clearing. Low temperatures down around 40 degrees by tomorrow morning. And then we get into a wetter pattern for this weekend. Most of the rain from this next coastal storm is Saturday evening through Monday morning. Could see up to 3 inches of rain. Will be a risk for some inland flooding and certainly some implications for the coast. We'll talk about the timing for all that coming up. Jonathan?
We'll see you then. Thanks. Developing news now in the Boston Marathon bombing investigation. Johar Tsarnaev's attorneys say that he was essentially brainwashed by his brother Tamerlan and should not be facing the death penalty if he's convicted. Now, the two are accused of setting off the bomb near the finish line last April. In a new court filing, Johar's attorneys say there's evidence that it was all Tamerlan's idea and that Johar just followed along. They also claim that the FBI asked Tamerlan to be an informant. The government disputes that. Johar Tsarnaev faces dozens of charges in the bombings.
And there's developing news in the crisis in Ukraine. We are just learning that Russian President Vladimir Putin called President Obama today. Mr. Obama urged Russia to pull its troops back from the border.
Coming up for us, shopping for satisfaction, the best and worst supermarkets.
A new $30 lottery stretch ticket? You better believe it, it's coming. But who will the big winners and losers be?
Hey, hey, baby, I'm the one that I love. Hey, hey, baby, I'm the one that I'm always thinking of. I'm always thinking.
Introducing the all-new 2014 Subaru
6V Crosstrek Hybrid, the most fuel-efficient all-wheel drive hybrid crossover in America. Well equipped for only $25,995.
Marvin Windows and Doors mean more to the people that choose them because they do more for their homes than any other window. Only Marvin combines a century of industry-leading design innovation with unmatched quality, durability, and energy efficiency for exceptional value. Which Marvin will be your Marvin?
McLeod & Moynihan is your remodeling, replacement, and new home construction resource. For over 20 years, we've been connecting architects and builders to the right products and solutions for homeowners. Visit macmoy.com or our Watertown showroom today.
I must begin my journey, which will cause me to miss the end of the game.
The X1 Entertainment operating system lets you watch live TV anywhere.
Can I watch it in Butterfly Valley?
Sure.
Can I watch it in Glimmering Lake?
Yep, here too.
What about the Dark Castle?
You call that defense?
Come on. Watch live TV anywhere. The X1 Entertainment operating system, only from Xfinity.
This week, don't miss the most exciting event in college basketball. Who will be stopped and who will be unstoppable? Catch all the game day action on WBZ. Sponsored locally by Nasacort Allergy 24 Hour. Stops more of what makes you miserable.
The most effective class of treatment for nasal allergies are 24-hour prescription nasal sprays. And now, one's available without one. New Nasacort. It relieves your worst nasal allergy symptoms, even congestion, for 24 hours. Nasacort stops more of what makes you miserable.
Winter's in full swing, and Butchica's in tax-free Salem, New Hampshire is your place to gear up for ski and snowboarding this year. Come in, get expert advice from our knowledgeable and experienced staff, browse our huge selection, and take advantage of our low prices on the latest equipment. Plus, get a lift ticket to J Peak with the purchase of any ski or snowboard package over $499. J Peak, the most snow in Eastern North America. Butchica's Ski Shop, your skiing and riding connection. On Route 28 in tax-free Salem, New Hampshire.
The sun is setting on the Toyota #1 for everyone national sales event. The final days to save with #1 deals so everyone can drive away with legendary Toyota value. Final days to get a lowest ever $178 a month lease on an all-wheel drive RAV4 with no cost maintenance included. Or get a #1 deal on an all-wheel drive RAV4 with 1.9 for $60. #1 for everyone ends March 31st. Toyota. Let's go places.
Here's a question for you. Would you pay $30 for the chance, small chance, to become a millionaire?
This week, the Massachusetts State Lottery announced plans to sell a $30 scratch ticket. But as John Keller reports, not everyone thinks it's a good idea.
So many scratch tickets, so little time. But will lottery players embrace the most expensive bet of all? Most of the players at this Boston Financial District lottery agent seemed unfazed by the $30 price tag.
I think they'll do very well with it. There seems to be a lot of interest in the lottery in general.
Yeah.
So I think this could be a good time for that.
The scratch tickets are very steady all the time.
So those are the real regular.
Those are the real regular ones. So, and I think the $30 one will fit right in.
In my mind, that's not who the demographic is that is going to go out and play a $30 scratch ticket.
But the head of the state agency that deals with gambling addiction says any notion that the new ticket will draw a less problematic clientele is likely wishful thinking.
As opposed to waiting and hearing about a weekly or daily number, folks who are really struggling with a gambling disorder typically aren't playing those games. So
they want the action now.
They want the action now. They want the response now. And if they have that money, they're going to reinvest it.
It'll appeal to people who like the fact that it's going to be the highest prize payout of any ticket we have.
As lottery overseer, State Treasurer Steve Grossman sees a chance to generate as much as $86 million more in badly needed local aid. But what's the downside here?
Well, concerns obviously would be that people would perhaps put more money into scratch tickets than they should.
Some experts say there may be up to 185,000 problem gamblers in Massachusetts. And under state law, the Mass Council on Compulsive Gambling gets much of its funding from lottery proceeds. With the $30 scratch ticket expected to be a big hit here, as it has been in the 14 other states that have it, the council can expect a boost in that funding and in the number of folks who need their help. John Keller at large, WBZ News.
Up next, a cancer patient mocked in a national women's magazine. What Self magazine did to a woman fighting incurable brain cancer.
If you have weekend plans, we've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is there will be some dry weather. The bad news is quite a bit of rain mixed in there, too. We've got the time.
Remember when you had your first dental exam? When your braces were finally taken off? When you may have had a dental emergency and it was quickly treated? When you looked at your smile and you were so happy with it that you smiled back? Chances are the Massachusetts Dental Society was there for you then, as we have been for generations of families since 1864. When you trust your mouth to an MDS member, remember, you're always in good hands.
Beep, beep, ooh, beep. She says, switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds. Call or click today.
American-owned, family-operated. Since 1829. No bull. Just lager. From America's oldest brewery, Yingling.
We bought our MDX because we needed something big enough for all our adventures, yet stylish and sophisticated enough for our urban lifestyle. The MDX delivered on both. Not to mention great cargo space, third row seat, and a touch screen with text messaging. The MDX was perfect.
During the Black Tag sales event, upgrade to the all-new MDX with low lease payments or special 0.9% APR financing with a portion of the proceeds helping to support Boston Children's Hospital. Learn more online at neacuradealers.com.
I was impressed with how many great reviews they had.
What makes CertaPro different is that our people really care about making our customers happy.
They asked what they could do to make painting an extraordinary experience for us. And they kept the gate latched.
We worked from a personalized written certainty pledge.
CertaPro painters did a wonderful job. They respected our lifestyle and our home.
It's about 5-star craftsmanship and having truly satisfied customers. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. CertaPro Painters, because painting is personal.
It's the final days of the Toyota Number One for Everyone National Sales Event, where you can get number one savings. Get a lowest ever $199 a month lease on an Avalon with no cost maintenance included. Hurry, it ends March 31st. Toyota, let's go places.
In a crowd of light beers, how long does it take to find the Yingling Light Lager? About that long. 99 calories, 100% authentic lager. Yingling Light Lager. Rethink your light beer.
This is the Name Your Price tool. It gives you options based on your budget. It's a piece of cake. I was told there would be cake. Get a free quote at Progressive.com.
CBS Money Watch Stock Update is brought to you by Buick.
A popular magazine mocking a woman with cancer.
Self Magazine's taking a lot of heat for what it did to Monica Allen, a woman who ran a marathon even though she's seriously ill. As Vanita Nair shows us, Allen was stunned when she suddenly appeared in the national spotlight.
When Self Magazine contacted Monica Allen last month asking to use a photo of her from the Los Angeles Marathon, she was thrilled.
We thought, oh wow, we're going to be in Self Magazine, and we just assumed it would be for some positive use. Maybe they're doing a feature on the trend of running in tutus.
It was Allen's first marathon since being diagnosed with inoperable brain cancer.
I did 6 weeks of radiation with low-dose chemotherapy, and then I did 12 cycles over a year of a higher-dose chemotherapy. There's a good chance I wouldn't live for 5 years, but I mean, I feel great.
But the magazine wanted her photo for its BS meter, a guide to what's legit and what's lame.
And I was really offended, you know. It's kind of an insult to be put into a huge magazine and called lame.
A racing tutu epidemic has struck, and it's all because people think these frou-frou skirts make you run faster. It goes on. Now, if you told us they made people run away from you faster, maybe we would believe it.
If they thought that this was a silly trend that they didn't understand, they should ask us.
In fact, Allen makes the tutus for her company, Glam Runner, which donates a portion of the proceeds to a nonprofit called Girls on the Run.
It helps teach them healthy lifestyle lessons, how to be confident, how to be healthy, how to deal with bullying.
Word of the magazine's missteps spread quickly online, with thousands expressing support for Alan. Shame on Self magazine, one person tweeted, while many others vowed to cancel their subscriptions. Self's editor-in-chief emailed Alan to apologize. Obviously, we messed up, she wrote. You are an inspiration, and I am truly sorry for this. Alan says she hopes something positive will come out of all of this.
Wear a tutu, have fun, and just don't take yourself so seriously.
Self magazine also apologized on its homepage, Twitter, and Facebook. The magazine also donated to Alan's charity, and it promised to cover her work in a future issue.
Yeah, that's just one of those knucklehead moments. Somebody not paying attention there and let that happen.
It's true.
Shame.
Snarkiness. Too much of it.
Yeah, too much.
True, yeah.
Too much. All right, so we're going to say goodbye to the snow, but we also have the risk of flooding. This
Yes.
is going to, we can't get away from just having a nice, easy go of it.
You know, spring rarely is just a smooth ride into the next season, so a couple bits of turbulence here and there.
All right.
What we have for tonight is some rain showers moving across. This is not part of the big, heavier rainfall that we'll see this weekend, but there are some raindrops to dodge as you're walking outside this evening and be heading out toward dinner, and certainly for the commute, some wet pavement on the interstates and byways. You got mainly light to moderate rainfall here from the Berkshires over to Boston and now working down toward the Cape and the Islands. It'll be generally light to moderate, like I said, and just a little bit maybe complicate the evening, just a touch. Wind gusts, they've been up there around 35 in Falmouth, 30 in Chatham. It's mainly Cape Cod, the islands, and the south coast seeing the strongest winds. Will die down a little bit as we head through the next few hours. In terms of the rain, that's going to stick around, hit or miss, through about 9 or 10 o'clock. You notice a couple sprinkles here and there. Overall, it's not going to be a deluge for this evening. And notice the temperatures. If you are heading out, 40s to around 50 all the way till midnight, so it's going to stay very mild. And as we head toward tomorrow morning, that front's going to move through and we will dry out. So as we start tomorrow, we'll actually have a good amount of sunshine and not terribly cold. So there will be a window this weekend. You can get outside just fine. That's great news for all sorts of folks who are trying to train for the Boston Marathon. For the morning, around 40 at 8 a.m., near 50 at 11 a.m. It's all dry. That should go till early afternoon. So tomorrow, a great day for that last 20-miler, whatever you're doing out there on the streets, and good luck to anyone who might be training. Then as we get toward later in the weekend, this is why we have flood watches out for much of the region, off to the west of Boston, up across much of northern New England. You've got melting snow. We're going to add in the rain and some milder temps. So a lot of just water around the area. In terms of the timing for all of this, we get toward midday tomorrow. That's where the rain is just creeping into the south coast and the islands. So we head toward mid-afternoon. It's moving farther northward. And by the evening, we're all seeing the rain. Tomorrow night is where we see the heaviest rainfall, and that will linger into Sunday morning. This is where we're going to see those totals really stack up pretty quickly. So Saturday, it's a dry morning, a wetter afternoon. High temps should get in the low 50s for most towns. Another fairly mild day. Saturday night, around 40 degrees. There'll be rain heavy at times. Could even be some thunder as we head through Saturday night and into Sunday. It'll be rainy and turning more raw and colder later in the afternoon on Sunday. High temperatures close to 40, and our winds will start to turn northeasterly. Never a warm wind direction this time of year. In terms of rain totals, 1 to 3 inches looks like a good bet. There's an outside chance a couple towns could pick up 4 inches of rain. Now, I do think 1 to 3 over a couple of days, we can handle that. There won't be tremendous flooding, but if we get to around 4 inches of rainfall, we'll have to watch these streams and rivers all across the region. Now, as we head towards Sunday morning, we've got a couple of coastal implications. Sunday morning, we could see a bit of flooding here around the south coast. We got a 1 to 2 foot surge, and it's the Sunday morning high tide. Could cause some minor flooding here. Then as we go toward late Sunday into Monday and even into Tuesday, as the storm sits off our coast, it's going to bring in an onshore flow. This is going to build up each tide cycle a little bit more and a little bit more, and I think Monday night will probably end up being the highest. We could see some coastal flooding with this, and beach erosion is something we're going to have to keep a very close eye on, especially for all these northeast-facing beaches. Could lose some sand as we head through the start of next week. To use your AccuWeather 7-day forecast, the temperature is not very warm for Sunday and Monday. We should stay in the 30s on Monday with that storm still around. A mix of snow showers and rain showers. We get toward Tuesday, we will dry out. Wednesday's looking like a good day next week. And then I'd like to point out that we have introduced the Red Sox on our 7-day. For the first time this year, home opener on Friday. We'll be watching that. All right, a schoolyard shout-out. Butler School in Belmont. Todd visited a group full of first graders. Say hello. We're in the Boston area. So Belmont, hopefully you enjoyed the visit. I know you did because Todd is great with the kids.
Yeah, he is. And you know what they will enjoy? It's the last few days of March.
Yes.
Once it's April.
An April vacation around the corner?
April vacation's coming.
No, they weren't looking forward to that. Just in January. Thanks, Eric.
Take care.
Well, Walmart isn't scoring well through the supermarket shoppers, at least. It's at the bottom of a survey of favorite grocery stores by Consumer Reports. Shaw's and Stop & Shop, by the way, also scored low. The most popular grocery stores were Wegmans and Trader Joe's.
Up next, it's a sad day for a North Shore landmark.
While a longtime movie theater is going dark. Now let's check back with David to see what's coming up next at 6. Hey, David.
Jonathan Paula, thank you. A woman helped one of the fallen firefighters, helped by one of the fallen firefighters, remembers his kindness. Coming up at 6, this woman explains how Lieutenant Walsh helped her when she had a medical issue. And we'll take a look back at a very emotional week for the city of Boston.
It's the final days of the Toyota #1 for Everyone National Sales Event, where you can get #1 savings. Get a lowest ever $199 a month lease on an Avalon with no cost maintenance included. Hurry, it ends March 31st. Toyota, let's go places. Incredible thinking always comes first, like the GMC Terrain, the first small SUV to offer an EPA estimated 32 highway miles per gallon, the first in its class to offer a standard rear vision camera, and for the first time ever, during the GMC Open House, most 2014 GMC models are specially priced, so you can get thousands off MSRP. For this month, switch to GMC with special value pricing to lease this GMC Terrain for around $199 per month.
Find your dealer at gmcdealer.com.
I'm Teddy Bruschi. Tackling a professional football player is not easy, but tackling the high cost of healthcare, now that's easy. Just go where I go, Shields MRI. The Shields family gives you a quality MRI at a sensible price. In fact, they could save you up to $1,000 or more. So get out there and take on those high medical costs. It's easier than taking on a really big fullback. Trust me. Why overpay for an MRI? Choose to go where I go, Shields MRI.
A man pioneers a way to see the unseen. Radar. Forever providing safer journeys. The Mazda 6 uses radar in its available class-exclusive suite of 7 safety features. For greater confidence behind the wheel. Introducing the Mazda 6. What do you drive? Now, lease the 2014 Mazda 6 Sport for $199 a month for 36 months.
Credits are rolling for a North Shore landmark.
Yeah, for the first time since 1920, the Cabot Street Cinema in Beverly is no longer showing movies. The owners of the cinema, they're trying to sell the place. They say they need to concentrate now on the sales process. The owners have listed the theater for $1.3 million.
And a 7-year-old boy was so worried about speeding drivers, he decided to write a letter to police.
And wouldn't you know, it worked. Isaiah McLaughlin wrote to Waterford, Connecticut police last week complaining about how drivers just fly up and down the street. Isaiah says that the drivers are putting him and other kids in danger.
Every morning when I wait for my bus, cars speed.
After looking at the letter, we had a concern for his safety based on the complaint of the high-speed traffic and the bus stop.
They might even go to jail for going like 90, 50, 60, 80, 100, at least.
Nice job, kid. Police plan to put patrol cars on Isaiah Street to try and slow the drivers down, giving him an object lesson in the old saying that the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
He's just a concerned citizen.
Good for him. That's going to do it for us at 5 o'clock, but there's much more straight ahead.
Stay with us. The news at 6 starts right now.
Honoring 2 fallen firefighters.
The profession that chose us to be firefighters is a tragic one.
How the city is helping Engine 33 Ladder 15 heal after a devastating loss.
There's a bit of spring in the air today, but flood watch is out for this weekend. How much rain we can expect and when it'll all come down. And there's a new way to get home after a late night in Boston.
Live from our studios in Boston, WBZ News at 6 starts right now.
Firefighters preparing now to escort the body of their fallen brother. These are live pictures from Sky Eye of the motorcade and the lines that will eventually take Lieutenant Ed Walsh from the city morgue to a funeral home in Watertown.
It has been a very emotional day as firefighters from around the city converged on City Hall Plaza for a ceremony to honor Lieutenant Walsh and firefighter Michael Kennedy. The department's flag was raised and colleagues saluted.
Tonight, we know the families of the two men and their firefighter brothers and sisters will say their final goodbyes to Walsh and Kennedy next week. Thanks for being with us. I'm Lisa Hughes.
And I'm David Wade in for Jack Williams tonight. A procession is forming as we speak to move the body of Lieutenant Edward Walsh to a funeral home in Watertown. Of course, that's where he grew up. Jim Smith is live for us in Boston with the very latest. Jim?
Good evening, David. A dramatic scene unfolding here on Albany Street in Boston. Let me get out of the way and show you the scene as it is unfolding. Firefighters and police officers from throughout the city of Boston and Watertown as well preparing to escort the body of Lieutenant Ed Walsh from the medical examiner's office to Watertown, where, as you mentioned, he grew up. The remains will be escorted in a hearse by Engine 33, which was the engine in Lieutenant Walsh's engine company. Everybody really broken up and very sad about all of this, but at the same time, they want to pay him the proper respects of father of 3 children under the age of 10. As we said, grew up in Watertown, the son of a Watertown firefighter. And you can see down the street here some of the other engine companies that are lining up in tribute, including at least one firefighter that we saw earlier who has a bandage on his head. He was actually injured while battling that fire, and he is among Boston firefighters lining up to salute Lieutenant Walsh as the hearse goes by. As we said, the son of a Watertown firefighter, his late dad on the Watertown force. 2 of his uncles also were Watertown firefighters, so they are preparing to begin this procession shortly, and we will stay on it and bring you an update as events warrant. Live on Albany Street, I'm Jim Smith, WBZ News. Back to you, Lisa and David.
Thank you, Jim. Firefighters from around the city gathered on City Hall Plaza today, and this was a huge crowd. They came to honor Lieutenant Walsh and firefighter Kennedy in a special service. John Keller was there, and he joins us now live from the Boylston Street Firehouse. John?
Lisa, any death is an emotional moment for the friends and family of the deceased. Their mourning usually goes on in relative privacy, but in the case of deaths as public, as tragic, and involving such esteemed public servants as these, more public mourning is called for, and that's exactly what's been going on for the last 2 days here on Boylston Street and earlier today on Boston's City Hall Plaza.
Looking at live pictures now as these firefighters prepare to move and escort the body of Lieutenant Ed Walsh to that funeral home in Watertown. We understand they'll be taking the Mass Pike. This is taking place on Albany Street. We were talking with John Keller just a moment ago, and we will bring you his report so that you're able to see that special ceremony on City Hall Plaza. But right now, let's take just a moment to pause for this picture.
You got your own IFB?
The procession you will see tonight will be similar to what we saw last night for firefighter Kennedy, an impressive, heartfelt show of support. That escort took place from the morgue to West Roxbury, to a funeral home there. And to see the kids and the parents who lined the route along with the firefighters and police officers reminded you that, in fact, in times like this, we do live in what feels like a very small town.
And it's interesting, we're watching where this procession is going to begin to give you sort of a sense. Right next to Boston Medical Center in the city is where the city morgue is located. Jim Smith is there live on scene as well. This will end at the funeral home in Watertown, where, as Jim mentioned, of course, Lieutenant Ed Walsh's late father was a firefighter. He also had an uncle that was a lieutenant. I believe he has a cousin who is currently on the force as well. Grew up around firefighters his whole life, and here we are today with Jim Smith live outside of there.
Jim?
Well, Lisa and David, this is a very powerful moment, obviously, in a very sad way. It's historic, and this is what the city wanted to do tonight. They wanted to do whatever they could to pay tribute to Lieutenant Ed Walsh, just like they did last night with firefighter Michael Kennedy. And we see a number of agencies turning out, but most importantly and specifically Boston firefighters. You're looking now at this dramatic scene. They are lining Albany Street, prepared to salute their fallen brother and their fallen brothers, both of these men, of course, on everybody's mind tonight. And like I mentioned a few minutes ago, it even includes many of the firefighters who battled the flames just a few days ago at 298 Beacon Street, including one firefighter that we've been watching who actually still has bandages on his head. He was injured in that horrific fire, and all of them, if they can at all get out here, this is where they want to be tonight, paying the proper tribute to Lieutenant Ed Walsh. And not only that, there's also many members of the public that have come out here. And now we're seeing some movement down the street as this procession appears, Lisa and David, to be about to get ready to be underway here. Back to you.
And Jim, last night, Beth Germano said it best. These firefighters don't want these two men to be alone on any part of their final journey. We are going to be telling you later about some of the arrangements that will be made next week for their funerals and for their wakes. But what you're seeing now is the most solemn of tributes. Ladder 33, Engine 33 rather, Ladder 15 taking part in this as well. The firehouse where these two men worked on Boylston Street, and how they were able to respond so quickly to that fire at 298 Beacon.
And it's interesting, Lisa, the people that you see in these particular shots are people who have just decided, maybe they live in the neighborhood there in the South End, have just decided that they wanted to be part of this solemn procession. And when it ends in Watertown, on that end of it, we will see people who knew this family very, very well. As we mentioned, they have deep roots in Watertown. So many people knew Lieutenant Ed Walsh and his family. So you will see at that point people who have a real personal feeling as to what this family is going through.
Right, and who understands so well the sacrifice, David. I was talking to a friend yesterday whose siblings went to school with Lieutenant Walsh, and just the profound sense of loss there. You know, we feel it because we recognize the bravery and the sacrifices these men stand, and women stand, prepared to make every day. But in Watertown, they've seen those sacrifices. And that's a community, particularly after the attacks last year, that really came together. And now they come together in grief over the loss of Lieutenant Walsh, who, as you mentioned, is part of such a long line of firefighters, people who were committed to public service and public safety.
Yeah, and we continue to watch here just to give you sort of a reset of what we're seeing. A motorcade about to bring the body of Lieutenant Ed Walsh from the city morgue in Boston out to Watertown. You're now seeing some of the police motorcycles gathering there as well. If you know that area, you know it runs just about alongside the Mass Pike. They'll be getting on the Mass Pike there, we believe, and heading out to Watertown. And from there, you talked about what's going to happen next week as the final goodbyes are made for both Lieutenant Ed Walsh and Mike Kennedy. We learned today from Boston Fire, and this was something that we're going to touch on in a few minutes, but perhaps we can put up the graphic too to give you a sense of what you're going to see next week. Lieutenant Ed Walsh will be waked on Tuesday afternoon, I believe from 3 to 8 at St. Patrick's in Watertown, and then his funeral will be held on Wednesday. As far as firefighter Mike Kennedy, he will be waked on Wednesday afternoon in West Roxbury with a funeral on Thursday.
Today, firefighters had an opportunity to come together in a very public way on City Hall Plaza. We're going to continue to keep these live pictures up, but we do want to show you the story John Keller covered that brought so many people together today at City Hall Plaza.
It was the first of several gatherings to come as firefighters from across the state and the nation showed solidarity with their bereaved brothers from the Boylston Street firehouse.
Last Wednesday was a tough day for the Boston Fire Department, for our brother and sisters. That day, they went into action. They saved many people. Almighty and eternal God, we ask your everlasting mercy and eternal life for our departed brother firefighters.
The ceremony was simple. The anguish it addressed is not.
We need to know that the people respect the sacrifices that we make, and the people of Boston have always respected what we do, and we appreciate that. It's a comfort.
The deputy chief of the grieving firehouse says the community outpouring of the past few days has been a blessing.
We actually had people that lived in the building come yesterday to see if the guys were okay, and the guys had been asking if the tenants were okay, so it means a lot, it really does. And it is part of the healing. It helps. We get together in these groups, and we all know what the other is feeling, so it's easier. Many times we just kind of look at each other and nod, it's tough to speak most times. You know, when you go to ask each other how you doing, both men break down. So we give a nod, handshake, a hug, and it means the world of difference to us.
As you can see, all these public tributes mean a lot to these firefighters. And when you talk to people visiting the firehouse here on Boylston Street and dropping off flowers, stopping for a moment of silent contemplation, they all have the same comment. It's the least we can do. Live in the Back Bay, John Keller at large, WBZ News. David, Lisa, back to you.
All right, thank you, John. I think we all feel that way. You're looking at this live picture now as this procession carrying the body of Lieutenant Ed Walsh makes its way through the South End. It will eventually travel on the Mass Pike to the funeral home in Watertown. And what you're seeing there are firefighters and neighbors saluting this procession.
Striking to see that it's being led by Ladder 15. We're back with more in a couple minutes.
Look at them, making moves that would put an adult in an emergency room. Yet all they really want to do is grow up. It's funny. Everyone I know wishes they could go back and feel younger. Sound familiar? Then test drive one of these.
Current non-GM owners, test drive a Cadillac and receive a $100 Cadillac Visa prepaid card and lease this 2014 ATS for around $359 per month with nothing due at signing.
Toyota #1 for everyone sales event. Block Toyota is the #1 Toyota dealer in sales in New England. Drive home a brand new Toyota Corolla for only $79 per month. Come on down. That's right, lease a brand new Toyota Corolla with automatic transmission that gets an amazing 38 miles per gallon for just $79 per month.
Remember when you had your first dental exam? When your braces were finally taken off? When you may have had a dental emergency and it was quickly treated? When you looked at your smile and you were so happy with it that you smiled back? Chances are the Massachusetts Dental Society was there for you then, as we have been for generations of families since 1864. When you trust your mouth to an MDS member, remember, you're always in good hands.
In 2007, we developed a new mattress by taking pocketed coils and memory foam and combining them into one mattress. We called it the best of both worlds. Well, it's 6 years later, and we made it even better. Now it includes improved pocketed coils and better memory foam. We added gel, a new airflow system, plus improved body temperature regulation. It's not only the most innovative mattress in the industry, it's the new best of both worlds. And it's only from Jordan's and Beautyrest.
It's award season. These are awards, and this is the award-winning Chrysler 200. Now, awards can take you places. Ditto for the car. The awards help you live life in the fast lane. So does the car. By the way, the 200 is a top safety pick, unlike awards, which are no career safety net. The Chrysler 200, now at the Chrysler award season event.
Get a low-mileage lease on 200 limited sedan for $109 a month for well-qualified lessees or $6,000 total cash allowance.
Looking at live pictures now as firefighters line the route here, also escorting the body of their fallen brother, Lieutenant Ed Walsh, to the funeral home in Watertown. To the investigation now, figuring out what caused the fire on Beacon Street won't come in a day or a week. In fact, this investigation could take months. Inspectors returned to the scene today, and they say despite the heavy damage, this is a building that can be saved. Buildings to the left and right, they're being examined to make sure they're safe. We know some of the tenants, though, have had their leases revoked. First, though, to the roof at 298 Beacon. That is going to have to be repaired, and the walls there will be shored up.
We got the structural engineer on site now. He has to lay it out, develop some plans, get it approved by the city, and then their process depends on their schedule and so forth. but not that long, maybe a month.
This sounds like a long shot, though. Residents are being told they won't be able to return to the building for at least a year and a half.
The arrangements have now been finalized for Lieutenant Walsh's wake and funeral. Visiting hours will be next Tuesday from 3 until 8 p.m. at St. Patrick's Church on Main Street in Watertown. The funeral for Lieutenant Walsh will be Wednesday at 10:30 at St. Patrick's. Firefighter Kennedy's wake will be held on Wednesday from 2:30 until 8 at the Murray Funeral Home on Center Street in West Roxbury. The funeral will be Thursday at 11 a.m. at Holy Name Church on Center Street in West Roxbury.
Turning to weather now, we had what was a pretty nice day given what we've had so far this spring, but huge changes over the weekend.
Yeah, big changes. The rain is coming, and Eric, from being outside today, I noticed the ground is super soppy from the snow melt, and hopefully we can handle the rain.
Yeah, you know, we're getting to that point where perhaps we'll be at the upper edge of how much rain we can handle in a short amount of time, especially as we go towards Saturday night and into Sunday. Today's rain, tonight's, I should say, not going to be a big issue. We just have some raindrops to dodge. If you have evening plans, the main front is still out there across western New York and PA. That won't move through until about midnight later on. In terms of the rain right now, it is heavy as south of Boston, down toward Taunton and Randolph, reaching down toward Vineyard. This is going to move through fairly quickly. It's mild outside. It's not too tough to take. There's still 51 in Taunton and 54 in Falmouth. A little cooler in Keene, but 45 degrees. Better than the 20s and 30s we've seen so much of lately. In terms of the timing, as we get through the rest of tonight, once that main batch that's here right now moves through, we get a little break. There'll be a couple of extra showers that move through in the course of the evening up through midnight. Not going to be a big issue if you have plans. But we bring a rain jacket just to play it safe. Also notice at midnight, 40s around 50 degrees. The cold air is not coming in. It stays pretty mild this evening. Eventually, as we move past that midnight time frame, the drier air comes in. We'll actually start tomorrow off with some sunshine before the clouds will roll back in. A lot of folks will be hitting the pavement this weekend because it's the last big one for a long marathon training run. If you're going out for tomorrow morning through the midday, no issues at all. The weather's going to cooperate. We've had a great stretch of Saturdays that have been quite cooperative. If you're doing the Eastern States 20-miler, as we had to Sunday, not going to be as cooperative, just a heads up. In terms of the rainfall that's on the way, we do have flood watches out for much of the area, especially off to the north and west of Boston. Combination for the rain we're anticipating, plus the melting snowfall. It's still pretty deep, especially into New Hampshire and Vermont. So here's a look at the timing for the rain. I think by lunchtime, 1, 2 o'clock, this is where we have that line of rainfall moving into the south coast and the islands. By mid-afternoon, stretching northward, and by dinner time, it's wet everywhere. The heaviest rain of all, it's coming down tomorrow night through the overnight and into Sunday morning. Then things will start to get a little bit more hit and miss as we head into Sunday itself. So to wrap up the weekend, dry morning and midday tomorrow, the late day rain, highs in the low 50s, so another fairly mild one. We'll hang around 40 degrees tomorrow night. Just going to pour buckets. There could be some thunder and some lightning mixed in with that. Same idea for Sunday. As we get toward the afternoon, the colder air is going to move in, and we'll talk about more spotty precipitation. In fact, could mix over to some snowflakes in northern Worcester County. In terms of total rainfall, 1 to 3 inches, widespread, looks like a good bet. It's if we top 3 inches here and there, that's where we could run into some issues, some localized street flooding, and the rivers coming into minor flood. Don't expect anything more than minor flooding. We're also going to watch, as we head towards Sunday night, Monday, even early Tuesday, this onshore flow out of the northeast. This persistent onshore wind is going to build up each successive tide. Coastal flooding and beach erosion is going to become a bigger part of the story, and I think especially on Monday for that part of this particular storm. Monday's temps, 30s, and rain and snow showers mixing with sleet. Ugly last day of March. Good riddance. Get on out of here. Tuesday, Wednesday, we dry out. Thursday's looking a little cooler, and then the Sox open up at home on Friday. Even if it's not 70 degrees, well, David, Lisa, it is a sure sign of spring. We know we'll get there.
And a perfect milestone. Something to look forward to. Eric, thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it.
We start by talking about the Red Sox. Danny gets to leave this weekend.
Yeah, nice. And talk about the ultimate comeback story here.
Yeah, boy.
New chapter on that.
Out of the game for 2 years, and he's back in the game as a starting center fielder for the Red Sox.
Awesome.
Pretty good stuff. Yeah, Red Sox are just 3 days away from opening up the defense of their 2013 World Series championship as they'll meet the Orioles Monday afternoon in Baltimore. And as the final days of camp dwindle down, Red Sox putting the finishing touches on their roster. And the big story today, manager John Farrell announcing that Grady Sizemore will be the team's opening day center fielder. And with that, Jackie Bradley Jr. has been sent down to AAA and will start the season with Pawtucket. Now, Sizemore has looked great this spring after being out of baseball the last 2 years due to injury. He hasn't played full-time since 2008. To football, where former Patriots running back LeGarrette Blount has signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 27-year-old resurrected his career last year in New England, rushing for 772 yards, 7 touchdowns in the regular season, then exploding for 166 yards and a record 4 touchdowns in a playoff win over the Colts. By the way, the Pats did re-sign center Ryan Wendell today to a 2-year deal, so they keep coming and going when it comes to what's going on in Foxborough. So Blunt gone, Wendell is back.
And you're headed to Baltimore to watch the Sox?
Yeah, Sunday workout, Monday opener, Tuesday White House.
I say watch the Sox, but you'll be working.
And,
I'm always working.
and reporting from the White House, one of your favorite things.
Yes.
Dan Rowe, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
CBS Evening News is coming up next at 6:30.
Scott Pelley joins us live from Rome tonight with a preview. Scott?
David, Lisa, great to be with you in Boston. We sat down with President Obama at the U.S. Embassy in Rome today, part of his overseas trip, and a lot of news came out of that interview. He warned President Putin of Russia that he must pull his troops back from the border of Ukraine, and the president gave us some great insight into his meeting yesterday with Pope Francis, a meeting that went on for about an hour, and we'll have more on that for you coming up on the CBS Evening News in about 10 minutes.
Scott Pelley in Rome, thank you so much. Look forward to the newscast coming up in just a bit. I want to give you some live pictures right now. This is on the Mass Pike. The hearse carrying the body of Lieutenant Ed Walsh headed to Watertown, being led by Ladder 15. Of course, an emotional day in the city of Boston.
We'll be back right after this. Lieutenant Walsh and firefighter Kennedy put their lives on the line to keep our community safe.
Acts of bravery and selflessness that will never be forgotten.
Now it's time for us to come together and support the families of Boston's bravest.
Please join CBS Boston in supporting the Memorial Fund.
Go to BostonFireFightersCreditUnion.com to see how you can make a donation.
Let's help make a difference together.
CBS Boston cares.
When you're looking for American-made quality in a bed,
it has to be Bernie and Phil's.
And right now, we'll pay your tax and we'll pay for your delivery. From our floor to your door, not 1 penny more.
The sun is setting on the Toyota #1 for everyone national sales event. The final days to save with #1 deals so everyone can drive away with legendary Toyota value. Final days to get a #1 Prius C lease for a lowest ever $97 a month with no cost maintenance included. Or current Toyota owners can get 0 for 60 plus $12.50 bonus cash on a Prius liftback. #1 for everyone ends March 31st. Toyota. Let's go places.
I commute to work. I spend a lot of time in my car. I rely on AAA. Whenever I've called for help, they're there. I use AAA for everything to do with my car. To finance it, to insure it, fix it, even a battery when and wherever I need it. And as a AAA member, I have access to a whole network of savings at places I shop all the time, even online. And that saves time.
Call 1-800-JOIN-AAA or join at AAA.com. Membership for life.
We're all born with it. That youthful curiosity and certain sense of adventure. It doesn't matter where it takes you, only that you go. Sometimes we just forget it's there. And sometimes your best adventures begin with someone who can see you're up for one. Nova Scotia. Take yourself there.
Tell me about the Honda Civic. It's the most durable, longest-lasting car in its class.
Can I stay in touch?
Bluetooth and text message reader come standard.
Does it rock?
Pandora compatibility, standard.
Where am I?
The Honda sales event of your dreams.
This is not a drill. Get a great deal during the Spring Into a Honda sales event. Now at your Honda dealer.
When you're looking for American-made quality in a bed,
It has to be Bernie and Phil's.
and right now, we'll pay your tax and we'll pay for your delivery. From our floor to your door, not 1 penny more.
We have developing news in the Boston Marathon bombing investigation, and this is a stunning claim by attorneys for Johar Tsarnaev. They say there is evidence the FBI asked Johar's brother, Tamerlan Tsarnaev, to be an informant. Now, the government flat out denies this. The brothers are accused of setting off the bombs near the finish line last April, and in a new court filing, Johar Tsarnaev's attorneys say the plot was all Tamerlan's idea and his younger brother simply followed. They say he should not face the death penalty. Johar Tsarnaev faces dozens of charges in that deadly bombing.
There were some tense moments in Cambridge today across the river from the scene of Boston's deadly fire. Once again, thick black smoke rising into the air for everyone to see. Turned out it was a fire at a cooling tower on top of a 14-story building. You could see the flames and smoke pouring out at 1 Main Street. Firefighters, though, quickly poured water on it. They had the fire under control very quickly. A call for workers to evacuate came over the intercom, and everyone did get out safely.
Maybe you have a late-night job, or maybe you plan to party like it's your job. Either way, starting tonight, the T is going to help you get home. The MBTA is kicking off extended bus and subway service tonight. That means trains and major bus routes will run every 15 minutes until 3 a.m. tonight and tomorrow night. It's a $17 million pilot program that could be extended if it's popular.
I want to bring you back to the Sky Eye pictures right now over the Mass Pike, where Engine 15 is leaving or is leading the hearse carrying the body of Lieutenant Ed Walsh. Just to give you an idea, they are going to Watertown to a funeral home there. Of course, Lieutenant Ed Walsh will be laid to rest in Watertown, the city that he grew up in, on Wednesday of next week.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Harlem Globetrotters, playing at TD Garden on Saturday, March 29th and Sunday, March 30th. Purchase tickets at the box office or online at Ticketmaster.com.
A man pioneers a way to see the unseen. Radar, forever providing safer journeys. The Mazda 6 uses radar in its available class-exclusive suite of 7 safety features for greater confidence behind the wheel. Introducing the Mazda 6. What do you drive? Now, lease the 2014 Mazda 6 Sport for $199 a month for 36 months.
You'll notice the Goya difference even before you taste it. Bring the delicious flavors of onion, garlic, and Latin spices to your meal in just 2 easy steps with Goya yellow rice. If it's Goya, it has to be good.
Hey, Steve, notice my lights?
When you get a new Buick, you want to show it off. You're invited to the Buick Open House event, where for the first time, select 2014 Buick models are specially priced, so you can get thousands off MSRP. Current non-GM owners use your special value pricing to lease this 2014 Verano for around $199 per month. Find your dealer at BuickDealer.com.
Wherever spring finds you, a Subaru with symmetrical all-wheel drive can help you enjoy it. Get ready for spring and a brand new Subaru Outback, awarded Top Safety Pick Plus by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. Drive home a brand new Subaru Outback, well equipped for only $23,795. Plus, get 0% financing for up to 36 months. Get a great deal and go love spring. Imagine finding the furniture you love at low sale prices. Now imagine upgrading to your choice of fabric at no extra charge. It's all possible at the Boston Interiors Custom Upholstery Sale. All our upholstery is made in the USA from quality materials you can trust to last. And this month only, it's all on sale. All chairs, sofas, sleepers, and sectionals. Plus, custom order any available fabric at the same price as stock. Come in soon and save. Sale ends March 31st.
There's no shortcut to success. You have to climb. And with available trail-rated 4x4 capability, an available Uconnect Media Center, an incredible fuel economy, the sky's the limit. Go anywhere, in any weather. Get a low-mileage lease on the 2014 Compass Latitude or Patriot Latitude for $149 a month for well-qualified lessees.
Looking now at live pictures, Ladder 15 leading the procession of cars escorting the body of Fire Lieutenant Ed Walsh home to Watertown. You see them going there through the tolls. They'll be getting off in Watertown, where people are waiting at the Stanton Funeral Home to salute this native son of Watertown.
We've been talking so much about Lieutenant Ed Walsh, a father of 3, all 3 kids under the age of 10. But he grew up in Watertown, where his father was a firefighter. His uncle was a lieutenant. He has a cousin who's currently on the force, and throughout that entire community, there are people who know his family so well, and they have decided tonight that they want to be on the sides of these streets, welcoming him back to Watertown, to the Stanton Funeral Home there. Of course, he'll be laid to rest in Watertown next Wednesday.
Show support there for his firefighter brothers and sisters and for Lieutenant Walsh's family.
It has, of course, been a very hard week here in Boston with the deaths of these two Boston firefighters.
We leave you tonight by sharing some of the emotional images of the past few days. We want to thank you for being with us.
These guys just top shelf human beings. My heart just goes out to these guys and their families. It's a small brotherhood of strong people.
The firefighting connection, it runs strong.
You see it at the firehouse on Boylston Street. People just want to come by and get flowers, get food. They want to do something. We felt the need to come down here to pay respects to these guys. And it means a lot to the firefighters to show that the community does support them.
They put themselves in harm's way so that others might be safe. All of the brave men and women of the Boston Fire Department accept this danger as their duty.